I'm Evan Dunstone. This is my business, Dunstone Design. We're contemporary fine furniture makers. I was trained originally as a commercial pilot, and I ended up doing agricultural flying, what people call crop dusting. And I came home to visit my parents in Canberra, and I walked into the Bungendore Woodworks Gallery, and it was, the choir of angels and the shaft of sunlight. I didn't realise that craft in timber was a thing until I'd actually seen it. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, wow, this is actually what I want to do. I went back to the Woodworks Gallery again and again, and I basically insisted that he give me a job. So I was able to work in the gallery one day and then be on the tools the next. And I got to see the best work by the greatest makers in the country, and then the next day I'd be in sanding a tabletop. So it was an incredibly fortunate and very hard to reproduce apprenticeship. When I saw the work in the Woodworks Gallery and realised that there was a life that could be made about making things out of a material I was interested in that would make people happy, that was a really powerful moment. As I say to anybody who'll listen, I'm a professional craftsman as opposed to an enthusiast. And so our value offering to our client base is that we have to make things that people resonate with. We're trying to make high craft, which has to be functional as well as beautiful. Everything's thought through and considered. And so a Dunstone Design piece is pretty obvious. In our little world, in the little world of fine woodwork within Australia, I think it's fair to say we have a very distinctive style. And it's as much about the way we resonate with Australian material and bring out the best colour and the best grain in a composition that's holistic. It's whether your work has voice or not. And that's the hardest bit to teach you. That's the bit I think you either have or you don't. And for my money, that's what a craftsperson does. And I think that's where we're most distinctive. For me, the fellowship's timing was unbelievably important because I was at the stage of my career where I'd made all the obvious mistakes. I'd nearly gone broke and I'd nearly given up the craft and done all the things that a lot of makers do early on in the process. At that time, I had 2 little kids. We were living in a converted shed on a farm. We had no money. We were trying to make a living from the craft. And I hated the chairs that I was making. I felt they were voiceless and clunky. And I thought, I'm being sucked into the vortex of just making stuff. And I didn't just want to be making stuff. I wanted to be making things that I cared about. And the fellowship, if nothing else, it improved my morale. It allowed me to go to places and meet people who I really greatly respected and see how they do the things they do. And one of the things that was so powerful about being a Churchill Fellow is that it just opened doors. Coming in and saying, I'm a Churchill Fellow from Australia, suddenly people went, well, in that case, come on in. It gave me the confidence to carry on from having seen people overseas who were doing what I imagined I wanted to do. I got to visit people who were, my heroes in the craft, and realised that there was nothing magical about what they were doing. They just had a deeper history behind them. By seeing how that's done in workshops that I respected, I realised that the fantasy of woodwork is different to the reality of woodwork. And I always say to people, if you've got a choice to do something else, do the something else. I felt at the time that I didn't have a choice. I felt that if I didn't take it as far as I could see it could be taken, I would never be comfortable with myself. I felt if I die not knowing, it'll drive me nuts. If I hadn't done the fellowship, I think I would have got out of woodwork a long time ago, but I also think I would have been a very bitter person. Whenever a culture requires something special done, to commemorate something or to celebrate something in a physical sense, they turn to a craftsperson. And we have to have faith that what we do is bringing far more to our culture than just the size of the house we live in or the relative age of our cars. And so in Australia, our culture really relies on nutters like me to keep going despite the evidence to the contrary. The thing about a Churchill Fellowship is it's not a peer review situation. So you're not going into, if you're a woodworker, you're not going into a room full of woodworkers. You're going into a room full of people who are passionate about stuff. And what they're really gauging you on is how much you care. And not only how much you care, but how much actually travelling to see the people or places or talk to whoever it is that you're proposing to talk to will change the way you see what you do.